program is a SUTV student production. The views expressed are not necessarily those of Salisbury University, the University System of Maryland, its regents, administration, officers, employees, or representatives.
On the broadcast tonight, tuberculosis scare on campus. We'll have details on the tuberculosis case that hit SU and bring you what you need to know. Heating up. As Election Day gets closer, we sat down with Larry Hogan, who is in an increasingly contentious Maryland gubernatorial race with Lieutenant Governor Anthony Brown. We'll talk about the race and bring you some of that interview. And more progress. This weekend, the school broke ground on yet another major building project. SUTV was there for the ceremony, and we have some of the early renderings of the new Seagull Stadium. This is SUTV Weekly News. Good evening and welcome to SUTV Evening News. I'm Eli Modlin. Last Wednesday, the campus community received an email with information regarding a case of tuberculosis contracted by a student. This comes while many are on edge because of the Ebola outbreak in West Africa and the recent cases here in the United States. Maddie Webb has more.
On Wednesday, October 15th, students and faculty were alerted via email that a student had been diagnosed with a case of active tuberculosis.
So active tuberculosis means you have the disease and you're sick. You're coughing, you have night sweats, you have fever, you have the germ inside your body and you're experiencing symptoms. Latent tuberculosis just means that you've been exposed to the germ, but you have no active symptoms. But when your immune system isn't doing its job, you could then develop active tuberculosis.
The Wacomico County Health Department partnered with Student Health Services to take measures to isolate the case.
So the health department is doing an investigation. They are contacting the index case. Their contacts will be offered the free PPD testing, and as well as putting out information to students. In the past, we have required all students to have a tuberculosis screening test before they come to college. However, those guidelines have changed over the years, and now most individuals in the United States, there's not a lot of active tuberculosis, so we're doing a screening test we're doing a screening questionnaire for now students coming in going forward. But a lot of students have already had a PPD test before they even get to campus.
One way they are doing this is by offering a tuberculin skin test for anyone who may have had closer contact with the student, reaching out especially to those in the students' classes.
As far as I understand, there's about 200 students who may have had contact with the index case and will be, or have already received a letter from the health department that they need to come and get screened. We will be making the screening available here on campus, either in health services or we're going to identify another location on campus. Individuals can also go to the health department, although they would rather do it here, and it'll be easier for the students. And then in 8 weeks, they will need to get retested because it could take that long once they're exposed to come down with the disease.
Director of Student Health Services Victoria Lentz stressed that students should not be worried and that being infected as a result of exposure is very small. We asked students their opinions on finding out about the diagnosis.
I've been exposed to worse things than tuberculosis, so I didn't freak out at all. Okay, I just come, it's just tuberculosis.
I feel like with this outbreak and nobody really knowing about it now, it should be a requirement for any incoming student to at least have a TB test done.
For SUTV News, this is Madeline Webb.
Thank you, Maddie. And it should be noted that this disease is in no way related to Ebola. And this year, homecoming activities came to an end on Saturday with a number of events, including a parade and a block party. Carly Nichols has more.
The fun kicked off around 11 a.m. with the homecoming parade. Various organizations, as well as a number of fraternities and sororities, had floats and walked the route. The parade, which began and ended on Avery Street, lasted for about 30 minutes. The block party, which was sponsored by the SGA, was held on the intramural fields and gave students the chance to ride a mechanical shark, run through a bounce house, and much more. After the block party, the football game kicked off at 1 p.m.
Overall, I think that they went really well. We had a really good turnout, a lot better than we were expecting, especially for the block party and the parade. Thank God it was family weekend because we had so many families come out and support that we were really happy with the outcome.
I was in the parade for Surf and Board Club, and it was awesome. We walked through, and I mean, we had so many people sitting and watching, which was really helpful. And to come here, and the activities were amazing. Also, now we're going to the game, and it should be fun. I'm excited.
In the afternoon, the women's lacrosse team got their championship rings, many of them their second rings, so it was an all-around special day for Salisbury University.
And Naira, you covered some of those sports for homecoming week. You want to get into that for us?
Football, obviously, it was homecoming. That's a big game, so they won 59-49, and they, really took care of business during that game. So, yeah. And soccer won, men's and women's soccer won, and field hockey. So, football teams combined for a total of, for the most points in a Salisbury game since 2011. Salisbury put up the 4th highest rushing total in Division III this year with 514 rushing yards. Junior slot Jerome Johnson had 148 yards on 7 carries. Junior quarterback John Dunbar had 2 touchdowns for 127 yards. Sophomore slot Aaron Moore found the end zone 3 times. And junior linebacker Daryl Sharp led the way defensively with 10 tackles, 8 of which were solo tackles. And Ryan Cobb was named Empire 8 Special Teams Player of the Week. Cobb had a total of 3 returns for an average of 42.3 yards. Women's soccer on Saturday was senior day, and the Gulls defeated University of Mary Washington 2-0. Jenny Gavigan scored the Gulls' first goal in less than 9 minutes into the game. Salisbury dominated the ball by controlling the rest of the first half. The SU defense, anchored by senior Jackie Holtzman, held strong and did not allow a goal for the rest of the game. Men's soccer had a lone goal by junior Cy McNeil against Frostburg State this Saturday. The defensive battle lasted mostly throughout the game for 90 minutes. With both defenses playing great soccer, 15 shots were taken for the game, 8 by the Bobcats and 7 by the Gulls. The SU backline, led by Cy McNeil and seniors Kyle Westbrook, Logan Becker, and Jeff Burns, limited Frostburg to just three shots on goal, all of which were pulled in by junior goalkeeper Drew Stadley. Through 15 games, Stadley has only given up 5 goals, and he sports a 0.34 goals against average, which is good enough for 7th best in the country. Volleyball used its 10th three-set sweep of the season to earn its first CAC victory of the year over Southern Virginia University, 3-0. The Seagulls jumped out to an early 2-0 lead and did not look back. Sophomore Katie Stauffer finished the game with 15 kills. And for field hockey, 5 different Seagulls scored as the #1 team defeated York College of Pennsylvania on Saturday. Jessica Crew gave the Salisbury a 3-0 lead at halftime, and that lead would continue to grow as Salisbury ended the game with 25 shots, 16 of which were on goal. And the upcoming games for this week, men's soccer was postponed today against Christopher Newport, but they will be playing on Saturday at 3 o'clock. The women's soccer will travel to Wesley College today, and that game is actually happening right now in another CAC matchup, which is going on right now. Football will be back in action on Saturday, October 25th, as the team travels to Ithaca College at 12 p.m. And volleyball is also playing right now against Penn State Harrisburg, and field hockey is playing right now against Wesley College.
Thank you so much for that, Naira.
You're welcome.
We now take a look at what's in this week's student newspaper, but a look at This Week in the Flyer with Jamie Potter.
This is Jamie Potter with another edition of This Week in the Flyer. On the front page, Daniel Shield writes about the 12th annual wine festival that was held at Pemberton Historical Park this weekend. In his article titled Wine Festival Attracts SU Students and Residents, Shield writes how students and staff came to enjoy over 20 local Maryland wineries, music, and arts. Shannon Wiley and Ashley Chafin come together in a less cheerful article titled Forcible Sexual Offenses Often Go Unreported. The article starts with statistics about these types of offenses, then goes to discuss 2 incidents where a female SU student who wishes to remain anonymous was sexually assaulted. Wiley also writes on the second page in an article titled Student Contracts TB, SU Checks for Others. Wiley reports on the recent campus-wide email about a student with tuberculosis, gives updates on their conditions, and reiterates that it is unlikely an outbreak will occur. In the editorial section, Daniel Shield brings up a question many college students have always asked. How can I be old enough to go to war but not old enough to drink? In Shield's article titled, Oh America, Won't You Drink With Me?, he writes about his experience coming from a country where he legally can drink to the United States where he feels this right has been taken from him. Also in the editorial section, Chris Price discusses a homeopathic remedy for the flu in his article titled Colloid Silver, a Healthy Alternative. To learn about the potential benefits as well as hazards of taking silver, check out this article. In the Go Life section, Alexi Malloy writes about the homecoming step show that filled Holloway Hall in her article titled Divine Nine Step Show Dedicated to Oni Diversity. Alexi writes about the heartwarming tribute the event had towards Janelle Oni, an SU graduate who passed away this summer. To read more about the touching event, check out page 7. Make sure to also check out the health section for Megan Mahidy's Health Food of the Week, green tea. That's all for this week's edition. Now to Eli.
Thanks, Jamie. And on Thursday, SU will hold its annual Recycle Madness event in Red Square. The event, which is hosted by the SGA, seeks to encourage students and registered organizations to get involved with their school's green initiatives by distributing shirts and monetary prizes to those who bring a certain amount of recyclables. And SU's environmentally friendly efforts have not gone unnoticed, as the school was named among the nation's 50 great affordable eco-friendly colleges by Best Choice Schools, a website which is dedicated to providing college information for students. SU is one of 4 Maryland campuses on Best Choice Schools list, including Towson, Frostburg, and Morgan State Universities. And now Ryan Dennis gives us a look at what to expect from the weather this week.
Thanks, Eli. So as you can see, the rain's starting to come to Salisbury now. We've been waiting for this all day, and it's finally coming, and it's going to be here for the next few hours, and it could be heavy at times. And now, as you can see, this was where the low was this morning. The low was just off the coast, and with the counterclockwise winds, that's why it ended up over in Baltimore, and Baltimore was getting most of the rain all day, and we were able to just not get it all day. And then, can we just restart? Can we redo this? Finally made its way to Salisbury. We've been waiting for it all day, and now it's here for the next few hours. This morning, the low was just off the eastern coast, which is why the rain was getting the counterclockwise motion and was going over Baltimore instead of Salisbury, so we've been able to miss it most of the day. But now it's moved over farther east, which is why when the winds are going counterclockwise and bringing the rain over, it's hitting Salisbury now instead of Baltimore. So we're going to have the rain for the next few hours. As you can see, the difference in rainfall is pretty massive. Salisbury's only had 0.16 inches today, Cambridge 0.22, but then you look at Baltimore. Baltimore has over an inch of rain today. For current temps right now, as you can see, basically the whole eastern shore is in the mid to upper 50s. We're at 56 right now, which is a little chilly based on what our temperatures have been so far, but it's not too bad. As you can see in the almanac, our high today was 62, which is a little below average, but it's not too bad. And then our record's 82, which we were way off. Our low so far has been 56, but tonight it's going to get down in the upper 40s, so we'll be closer to the average low. And then our record low is 26 degrees back in 1974. For tonight, you can expect some showers. Some are going to be heavy. Some may just be like the misty type we've been having. It's going to be breezy, and then it's going to be in the mid-50s. Overnight, you can expect the showers to end by midnight. It's going to be cloudy the rest of the night, and you can expect the low to be in the upper 40s, so it will be a little chilly. Tomorrow, it's going to be cloudy basically all day. You could expect some AM fog, and it's going to be pretty breezy again, and the high is going to be in the low 60s. This is the radar tomorrow. As you can see, the lows moved off to the northeast, so Boston, Maine, they're going to be looking at 4 to 6 inches of rain, but we're just going to be dealing with clouds tomorrow, and the showers should be gone. Tomorrow night, you can see that the low is continuing to move off to the east, and here we're going to still have the clouds, but it'll start clearing out on Friday. as you can see, because Friday the clouds are still with us, but over Western Maryland, around Oakland, West Virginia, it's clearing out, so the sun's going to be coming for the weekend. Tomorrow night, we have a special thing that we haven't had for a while. It's a partial solar eclipse. What that is when the new moon blocks part of the sun, not the whole sun, but part of the sun. It's going to begin around 5:53 p.m. tomorrow. It's going to peak around 6:10, but the issue is with sunset, we're not going to see it for too long. But if the clouds clear out, it's definitely something you want to see, because as you can see, next time we're going to have it, it's going to be in 2023, which is a long time from now. And then as you can see, 5-day forecast. Tomorrow's going to be a little cloudy. It's going to be low 60s, so it'll still be a little chilly. Friday, it's going to start clearing out, partly sunny. It'll get up to around 70. And then for the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, it's going to be sunny, upper 60s, low 70s, and the lows are going to be in the upper 40s, so it's going to be a great weekend to be outside.
Thanks, Dennis. As we approach that ever so important first Tuesday in November, we went to the Eastern Shore Republican headquarters to talk to GOP gubernatorial candidate Larry Hogan. Thank you so much for letting us have some time with you today, Mr. Hogan.
Well, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to it.
Why do you think you can win?
Well, you know, I've been out there traveling all across the state since January. I've been to all 23 counties multiple times, and this is my 34th trip to the Eastern Shore. We've been working as hard as possible, but I've talked to tens of thousands of people from all walks of life, and I believe that a majority of Marylanders, regardless of their party affiliation, really want to see the state go in a different direction. People on the shore from all walks of life really believe, they feel a huge disconnect between Annapolis on the other side of the bridge and the Eastern Shore, and they feel like their concerns are not being listened to, that nobody's paying attention to their problems. In some respects, many of the problems are the same as the rest of the state, but they're actually even worse on the shore, and sometimes they have unique problems that are just Eastern Shore related. One of the problems is they really have been not paid enough attention to, and it's something I'm going to focus on as governor, to make sure that some of the areas of the state, and it's not just the shore, as the shore, Western Maryland, Southern Maryland, feel the same kind of disconnect. That we're going to let the people who haven't had much representation make sure they have a seat at the table. I've been the leading voice of opposition to 5 years in a row. The O'Malley Brown administration has increased tuitions. For 8 years in a row, they've increased fees. And for the past 5 years, I've been the one leading the fight against the tuition increases. It's getting. We have to try to control costs, because the rates are going up at such a rate where, you know, got people in your position, students that are taking on all kinds of student debt that they're going to have a hard time paying off. And we've got to make. I want to put more emphasis into our university system and into our colleges and universities and community college here in Maryland. We got to find ways to control costs, so we're not making it so cost prohibitive for students to make it through and not be saddled with unbelievable debt.
And to show you how close that race between Larry Hogan and Lieutenant Governor Anthony Brown is getting, a recent poll has the two at 44-44. With so many students being away from their home districts on Election Day, we wanted to make sure that you knew how you can still make your voice heard and vote for those who you wish to represent you in local and statewide elections. Tonight, Sarah Wood brings you a story on absentee ballots.
With elections quickly approaching and many students out of their voting district, the Wicomico County Board of Elections here in Salisbury reminds students of the absentee ballots and the purpose they serve in both the primary and general elections. We spoke with election director, PACE, and students about the absentee ballot process and importance.
Absentee ballots are available to those voters who aren't able to go to their assigned polling place on Election Day, or to those who can't participate in the early voting period in Maryland. To get an absentee ballot, there's a couple of ways that voters can exercise to request that. It's actually a two-part process. Once they complete and sign an application and get that into us, that gives us permission to send out the actual ballot.
I think it's important because if you want to take your time and be in part of this world and putting in office who needs to be in office, then you would take your time out to do an absentee voting ballot.
You can send that in and request an absentee ballot, and it'll actually send it to your local address. So you'll just indicate what dorm room you live in or what address you live in here locally, and then they can send it to you, and you can fill out your ballot that way. And it's a lot easier than having to drive all the way back to Harford County or wherever some of these students are from to vote, especially with class schedules and stuff like that.
I'm not going to be able to get home, and I think it's really useful for students to know about them and be able to use them, because I think there's a lot of students like me who can't get home, but I also feel a lot of them won't be voting at all because they don't know about the absentee ballot and don't really know how to use it.
We do everything we can to make it as easy as possible and as smooth as possible for voters to exercise their right to vote, and absentee ballots are one way we can provide that service to the voters.
For SUTV News, I'm Sarah Wood.
Thank you, Sarah. And more information can be found on the school's website. And along with everything else going on this weekend, the university broke ground on the new Seagull Stadium. The facility, which will be home to the football field, hockey, and men's and women's lacrosse teams, is set to be complete in the spring of 2016. Along with everything else going on this weekend, the university broke ground on the new Seagull Stadium. The facility, which will be home to the football field, hockey, and men's and women's lacrosse teams, is set to be complete in the spring of 2016. The $19 million undertaking is the largest athletic project in recent history. The university hopes that this will better serve the athletes, students, and fans who are at the games to support SU.
All I heard was this weekend I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw someone posted on the Salisbury Spirit page, I guess, and it was just a picture of it, and I thought it was pretty cool.
I think it's good for the school. I think it'll bring a lot of people here.
That's it for us this week. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you here again next week. Good night.